Why is it Fujifilm cameras seem to be everywhere at the moment? Do they really look like film? Are the manual controls really that good? And why is the X100V literally everywhere you look? Well, my name's Goffy, and here on this YouTube channel we've tried pretty much every Fujifilm camera there is out there. And in today's video I want to try and answer that question. Why is it in 2022 and 2023 that people seem to be really gravitating towards Fuji as a brand? I'm going to check some timestamps up on the screen now, so if you want to hop around this video, feel free. First up then, I think is a combination of three things that have been happening all at the same time. Now the first thing is the price of film has been getting steadily and more expensive. Lots of people over the last few years have moved towards film photography to now find themselves being priced out of it. At this point in time, a roll of portrait costs about £20 here in the UK, so by the time you processed it and got it scanned, you're looking at about £1 per photo. And for some people, it's just starting to get to that point of being too expensive and they're looking for a digital alternative. And it just so happens that over the last few years, Fujifilm have been using some of their film knowledge to build some simulations into their cameras. So you can use things like Provia, Astia, Velvia just straight away by doing some very simple adjustments in camera. The other thing that Fujifilm have also been doing is they've been adding so many different ways to customize your JPEGs into their cameras. Then the third thing is the fact that there is this awesome community of Fuji shooters out there that are playing around with all of these settings that Fuji are offering and coming up with their own recipes, kind of like a preset that emulate different films. And some of them are honestly really good. If you want to see just how good some of these recipes are against the real film stock, I'll put some videos in the description up on the screen now that I've made that compares exactly that. But these three things have all been combining together and leading to the situation we're in now, where film photographers are moving towards a digital alternative, and Fuji is the one that makes sense. Now, another big win for Fuji is the design and build of their cameras. Now, first of all, the dials. Many Fuji cameras come with all of the dials that you need to set your exposure triangle without turning your camera on. On my X100V, you can set the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture with the camera switched off. The other thing as well is when it comes to the actual design of these cameras, many of them are themed around older cameras from the past. An awful lot of their cameras are like rangefinder themed, and that just has this like feel that film photographers again are gravitating towards. They can't shoot film, but they can now use a digital camera that not only looks like their film, but also feels a little bit like it as well. Another thing as well is I think people are starting to realize the benefits of a crop sensor. Not everybody needs a full frame sensor. Full frame sensors have two problems. One of them is they're pretty expensive. The cameras are going to be more expensive than Fuji's because they have a more expensive sensor on the inside. The other thing as well is the fact because the sensor's bigger, the cameras are generally bigger. And even in some cases where Sony have done a really good job at say making some of their full frame cameras really small, the problem then is in the lenses. The lenses have to be bigger because they have to cover a bigger sensor. So if you go for a crop sensor camera, you can often save quite a lot of money and also have a really small package. If you pick a camera like the XE4, for example, that is a really small Fuji camera that has the same sensor as the more expensive Fujis, and you can also combine it with some pretty quick small glass and have a package that's so small that full frame cameras just can't compete. And I think this leads on to the next thing, and that's the fact that picking a crop sensor camera just isn't the compromise that it used to once be. A full frame camera, because of the size of the sensor and the size of the photo sites, is always going to be better in low light than a crop sensor. But the point is, the difference has got so small now that many people just don't need that extra full frame performance because it's become such a small difference. And even beyond the sensor, it always felt like Fuji had some problems in other areas as well. It always felt like the autofocus was lagging behind and video specs too. But especially in this last generation of cameras like the XH2S that I'm using now, this camera is as good as any full frame camera when it comes to them things. There used to be this really big divide and it just doesn't exist anymore. Not for most people anyway. Full frame is going to be that little bit better, but is that little bit better worth the size and price cost that this adds in? For many people, I think the answer started to become no. Then I think we get on to the X100 line of cameras. This one here being the X100V is one of the cameras that has gone mad on social media. Now this is a camera that is very unique in its offering, and I don't think there's many cameras that truly compare to it other than maybe the Leica Q, a camera that costs thousands and thousands more. This is a camera that has some very unique features like a leaf shutter, which means it can do some crazy fast flash sync speeds. It does have a flash built in as well, and it's almost silent in operation. The camera also has an ND filter on the inside, so you can switch that on and shoot wide open whenever you like. The lens on this model was upgraded as well, so it's now good at even close focusing distances wide open, and it's super sharp. And because it's a pancake lens, it is super small. Many people use these cameras as like an everyday carry. And it has all of the features we were just talking about earlier as well. well. It has all of the JPEG settings, so you can dial in some recipes and use this a little bit like a film camera. It's also one of the cameras that has all of the physical controls that you could ever need as well. And I think this is a camera that at the moment pretty much sums up Fujifilm as a brand. It is a pretty unique offering targeted towards maybe the more casual photographer or somebody that is moving from film. These are honestly incredible cameras and I absolutely love using mine, and it won't be going anywhere. I do worry that when the next one comes out though, it's going to be nearly impossible to get hold of, because at the minute this camera itself is out of stock pretty much everywhere, and the older models like the X100F are now selling for more money than they were new. The hype behind this camera is big at the minute. Do I think it's worth the hype? In many ways, yes, but I don't think I would be going out and buying older models for more than they were new. Now, I honestly think this video could go on forever, so we're actually just going to whip through some of these last ones. Now, first up is the fact that Fuji do also offer a medium format option. If you're somebody that is into medium format photography in the film space, then when you come to digital, Fuji is one of your only options. Your other options, I think, are going to be people like Pentax and Hasselblad, but those cameras cost way, way, way more than the Fuji equivalent. Also, Fuji, when it comes to their APS-C size crop sensor cameras, pretty much stick the same sensor in all of their bodies. So if you want to go for the really small XE4, you're not taking a sensor compromise compared to their best camera at the time, the X-T4. That's something that other camera brands just don't offer. Normally, if you go for the small camera, you're going to be getting a worse sensor. And they've also got some other quirky cameras in their lineup, like the X Pro 3. The X Pro 3 has a screen on the back that kind of flips down from the bottom, and when it's closed, it's actually just a blank screen that tells you very, very little on the back. Again, it's kind of appealing to them film photographers, so when they're moving from film, they're looking for a digital camera to move to, Fuji just makes sense. So hopefully then this video has helped explain a little bit as to why so many people seem to be moving towards Fujifilm at the minute. There is an awful lot of hype on social media surrounding cameras, especially this one, but I do think it is actually pretty warranted. I don't think I would be rushing out and buying old gen cameras for more than they were new, but these cameras are honestly awesome. There's an awful lot of good things going for Fuji at the minute. They offer you great colours straight out of the box. There is a huge community of people out there that are doing their best to try and emulate different film stocks. The cameras have physical controls that many other manufacturers are just dropping off, and picking a crop sensor Fuji is just not the performance compromise that it once used to be. If you've enjoyed this video though guys, please do not forget to like and subscribe. There is plenty more Fujifilm content coming to the channel, and I'm actually taking a trip to Prague in the next couple of weeks, and I can't wait to take some images on there and share them with you. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.